We are here for part 3 of our 3-part series of our live moderated college panels. So for those of you who have been tuning in with us this week, we started our series off on Wednesday where we hosted Edgewood College here, and we learned about some of their timely updates and revisions to things that they are shifting for our graduating seniors and their incoming freshmen as it relates to shifts around the COVID-19 social distancing and what that means for students who are planning to transition. Yesterday, we had the pleasure of having UW-Madison here. And so same concept, same platform. And so I'm excited for our 3 of 3 today with Madison College. And so welcome you all. And before I allow our panelists to introduce themselves, if you are new to our series today, I just want to give a little background. So this platform provided by Boys and Girls Clubs of Dane County was really initiated to be able to support our cohorts here in Dane County, but really anywhere for students who are interested in either Edgewood College here in Madison, UW-Madison, and or Madison College, because we know our graduating seniors are facing a lot of challenges right now, primarily sort of with that transition to their post-secondary options. And so we know that there are students who are at home right now who may not have one-on-one contact with their guidance counselor who might have been supporting them up until this point, or might not currently have the one-on-one interaction with their teacher that they trust, who's really been sort of supporting them through this journey. And so we wanted to create a platform for our local top feeder institutions so that students can hear from the institutions any timely updates that they should be aware of, and any other information as it relates to admissions and enrollment, registering for classes, obviously, most importantly, financial aid. So that's what we're bringing you today for our final, again, part 3 of our series here with Madison College. So I'm going to bring in another panelist, and then I'll allow each of them to introduce themselves.
All right, I can start it off. Hello, everyone. Of course, thank you, Glenna, for this opportunity to be sharing with all of you that's out there attending this Facebook Live session. My name is Kimani Alford. I am the Director of Student Financial Support Services, where financial aid is one of the units. Within our area, we award over about $38 million in federal aid and state aid and institutional aid to students who are seeking assistance in order to cover the cost of education. So I am thankful and privileged to be here to be able to share information with you on today.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. Thanks for having us. I hope you're watching this live stream from somewhere in the sun because it's gorgeous out today. My name is Gretchen Rixey. I'm the Director of Advising, Career, and Employment Services at Madison College. So I have the pleasure and honor of working with our academic advisors, our career services, and our transfer services teams.
And I'm Rowan Cito. I'm Student Support Advisor in Student Life. I also manage the Intercultural Exchange. So I get to kind of talk about student clubs, organizations, how to get involved on campus, and how to stay connected.
We're going to jump into our moderated FAQ. I'm not sure what all pieces you heard, but we did have an opportunity to collect questions from youth that we serve and professional staff who work with graduating seniors and families to sort of compile what are some of the high priority, timely questions that folks have so that we can make sure we surface those here with Madison College so that we can get those immediate answers. But please know, as viewers, everything is changing. So what might be a response now for Madison College may update and change. And so again, we invite you all, if you have individual questions, to definitely insert your questions into the comments feed, as we will have a questions from viewers portion at the end of our panel discussion so that we can address those. Please know that if we run out of time, or if we don't have an immediate response to any question that you might surface through the comments, we will definitely make sure that we get that response back to you following the panel discussion. So make sure you come back to those comment sections to look for those responses. again, thank you guys for being flexible. So we're going to go right into the FAQs, but I have to switch up some of our panelists here. So give me a second as we work with the technology. All right. We've got Kate back because Kate has the first answer. Our first question, excuse me. So the first question that we have is, can students still apply for both summer and fall courses right now at Madison College?
Yes, you can. Thank you for, well, I had to log off for a few technical difficulties, so hopefully everyone can hear me. I'll just give a quick introduction. So I am Kate Sofa, I'm the admissions manager. And yes, you can still apply for mini programs and certificates still at the college. So we have around 35 summer programs that are still accepting applications, with deadlines coming up June 15th and July 15th. So still plenty of time to register and get accepted. In addition, registration for summer is open for both program students as well as any student who's just looking to take courses. So we are going to be offering a wide variety of high quality summer school classes, as well as many that do transfer to our partner four-year institutions. And I believe we'll chat about that a little bit later. In addition, we still have around 150 fall programs and certificates that are still accepting applications. Deadlines for those programs, the next deadline that we have coming up will be in August, but we do also have deadlines that go into this fall semester. So students can view our offerings at madisoncollege.edu/academic programs, and then find which program is a right fit and go ahead and submit that application. Students who are just looking to take courses, right now fall registration is opening for all students then on June 3rd. So we will have a variety of programs and offerings that are still available. So if people are interested, we'd like to connect.
Perfect. And I think that's important. And I mentioned this in the other two sessions. What we're seeing with some of our students, right, and what we've read in or inside higher ed, right? Students are sort of staggering and making that final decision around the institution they want to attend next year. And so a lot of students, and even articles are saying, you know, community colleges and two-year institutions are likely going to see an increase of enrollment this next fall. So students, if you're on the fence, you still have time to apply. So make sure you're reaching out to admissions for any questions that you may have. The next question, so I know you really touched on this, but are there any changes to the admissions process and or deadlines due to COVID-19? I guess maybe even more specific, like student is interested, but they've never had an opportunity to visit campus. Are there now virtual online campus tours available? I know some institutions are shifting to make those available. Is there any information like that that's we should be aware of?
Yep. So as far as deadlines, because most of the deadlines have not passed for the programs, we do not anticipate any changes to the deadlines. Unfortunately, because we can't offer campus tours at this time, we are offering virtual tours at madisoncollege.edu/visit, where students can see that virtual tour and then request information. So we'd love to hear from students if they have specific questions that we can help answer about a program, about a course, about transferability. And so we will also be working with individual students because we do know that there have been impacts to students due to COVID-19 and school closures. We are having students work with our recruitment team to discuss options if students do have difficulty obtaining that documentation, so that we can work through that with the individual student and make exceptions so that it does not delay a student's ability to start Madison College.
Perfect. All right. So as we know, finances are a huge piece of what helps make or allow a student to make that final decision. The question that we have next is it too late to apply for additional scholarships and or financial aid?
I always say, and I think over the years, I've always said it's never too late to basically seek assistance to help cover those college costs. And it still remains true. No, it's not. It's not too late. And since to apply for scholarships, of course, some institutions have institutional dollars in the sense that you do review processes in order to determine who is eligible for that. For Madison College for the fall, that has passed. However, there's multiple opportunities for students to apply for scholarships. There are a plethora of external scholarship agencies and websites students can go to just by visiting our website at madisoncollege.edu and basically going underneath paying for college. There's information that's listed there for students to be able to have access to that. And then, of course, if a student is enrolled in Madison College in the fall term, they'll have the option to apply for scholarships through our foundation in the fall term, which it usually runs around October to December to be able to apply for scholarships for that upcoming spring semester. So it's never too late as far as assistance. On the financial aid side, we have an 18-month window in the sense that allows students to be able to apply for funding through the federal government or through the Department of Education. The application for the fall semester, or even if students are looking to come to Madison College even during the summer, that is still out there and it's available for students. Of course, they will want to complete the 2019-20 if they're planning to apply for summer and want to do that right away. But then also if you're planning to come to Madison College in the fall, you want to complete the 2021 FAFSA application that is also out there using 2018 information, tax information in order to apply for that. So no, it's never too late. Even if you get to the point that you're in the midst of the semester and you realize, I want to see if I can get some financial aid, go ahead and complete the application because that is going to be the foundation for us to determine what eligible programs the student is going to be able to receive through grants, through federal work study, through loans and other opportunities, and since that's available for students to fund that education.
Perfect. And I know a question that surfaced, so I have two follow-up questions for you. One question is, if there are students and or their families who are ineligible to complete the FAFSA, if in what ways does that process that you just described look differently for them, or what steps should they be taking to make sure that they have access to financial opportunities?
So I always say if a student isn't eligible to complete a FAFSA application, of course, that doesn't allow them to have access to federal funds. In that case, then we recommend students always have a conversation with us. I go back to my years in higher ed and attending my first year of college where I had to actually build that relationship with the financial aid administrator that later became one of my colleagues. So I think it's always important to establish that relationship. And if there's something that a student is wondering, how do I support myself financially and what options are there, it will be one to reach out to our financial aid office to have those conversations. Now, the institution itself we do provide opportunities and support to students who might not be able to complete that FAFSA application. So our foundation provides scholarships to students that might not be able to complete the FAFSA application. And then we have a program, which is the Scholars of Promise program, that we also have alternatives that allow students to be able to come to our institution and still have option to have their tuition and fees covered. Those are some options that's out there. Outside of that, having some additional conversations with us, we're always able in the financial aid world to direct a student to some form of support. So being able to connect with us, and then we can guide the student down the right path in the sense to connect them with those resources that will help support them.
Perfect. And again, maybe everyone is on your internet today. Our connection doesn't seem to be the strongest, but that's okay. We're going to keep moving through as long as folks can hear. There you are. You mentioned, Madison College Foundation. if a student is interested in accessing resources and or support, should they reach out to the foundation directly, or should their first point of contact be with financial aid? Just to clarify for our viewers.
I would say to explore the many facets of financial aid or financial support, you want to start with the financial aid office, and then we can basically guide the student based off of our conversation what's going to be the best solution for them.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I'm sure there may be a few more financial questions that come through. Our next question is more so around academics. And so there's been a lot, again, in the news around ACTs and SATs, and are they going to be required moving forward? And we know that those are usually indicators of how students are placed into courses when they enroll at a post-secondary institution. And so the question that we have is there still an opportunity to take placement tests at Madison College? And if so, what is the process for doing that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we are still offering placement tests. They are not offered, of course, right now in person, but we have a way to offer those virtually. So for our new incoming students that need to test, go to madisoncollege.edu and just Google search placement test. You'll get a lot more information about how you can get engaged with that. And while I know everyone loves taking tests, the good news is we can offer other options for you too. So if you've already taken the ACT, we can use those test scores to appropriately place you into your Madison College courses. Additionally, during the COVID pandemic, we have made the decision to also use high school GPA. So if you will submit your high school transcript, we can use your high school GPA also to appropriately place you into your math, English, and other courses at the college.
Perfect, thank you. And so if they are interested, is it academic advising? Would they have, if they've already been accepted, would it be sort of an assigned academic advisor that they would inquire about that with for the next step?
So for testing, we have an office called Testing Services. And so that's what you would get connected with to actually take a placement test. Perfect. As far as actual placement and interpreting your scores and what courses do I take, that will you'll receive assistance from your academic advisor as you go through the advising and registration process at the college.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for that clarification. Our next question, I'm going to bring it back to you, Kimani. And you did mention the Scholars of Promise program. And so for those of our viewers who are in Dane County, you're likely familiar with the program. And so the question that we've gotten feedback that has surfaced a lot has been, when can students expect to be notified or not they were accepted into the program?
Yeah, so the Scholars of Promise program, we've had some conversations due to everything that's going on with high school students and knowing as far as the state that we're in. We want to make sure that we provided some flexibility to students to, one, be able to apply and then also be able to get any necessary documentation that might be out there for us to make a decision. So originally our deadline was the first week in May, in order to submit that information. And we do have some students that submitted that information and was able to do that in that time frame. So those students that did that by the May 1st will actually hear by May 15th as far as that decision from us in the Scholars of Promise program. Now, we did just recently extend the application process to allow students to be able to apply all the way up until the end of the first week of June. For those students in the sense that might have had challenges to either get online to submit that information or even challenges to submit the documentation that's required for us to make a decision. So those students between May 1st and the beginning of June, I believe it's like June 5th, they'll have those decisions out by the following week, which is the 12th of June, in order to determine if they're accepted into the program. So we just wanted to make sure that we were providing that platform and that flexibility for students that really have an interest in Madison College and an interest in our program. And we also want to make sure that they have that option to be supported through the covering of their tuition and fees. So those are the deadlines and the flexibility that we provided for those students that want to apply for the program.
Perfect. I think that's actually going to be great news for a lot of students to hear that that has sort of been extended. For students who might now just be receiving this information who had not yet previously submitted their material, is there a specific point where they should go to access that application currently online?
There's a couple ways. So you can always go to Madison College. .edu, and in the search tab, basically type in Scholars of Promise, and then the program will show up. Or otherwise, if you want to just go to madisoncollege.edu/Scholars of Promise, then it'll direct you directly to the page as well to submit that application. It'll ask you 2 questions. One, are you a recent high school graduate? And then if you're not a recent high school graduate, of course, that high school graduate will select that I am a high school graduate, and then it will basically guide the student, give them an overview of what the program is, what the requirements are, and then the access to that application to submit it.
Perfect. Thank you. I know for sure we might have some Boys and Girls Club students reaching out to Scholars of Promise. So if my colleagues are on, I hope you all are excited with that updated information. Our next question kind of goes back to classes. And so we've heard on Wednesday from Edgewood that really fall semester is sort of business as usual. They are expecting for classes to be face-to-face and really no immediate changes. And obviously they're a little unique in their setting as a smaller institution. But additionally, you know, UW-Madison really shared and disclosed yesterday that they're still determining what fall will look like and are hoping to make some final decisions come July. The question we have for Madison College is, have you all decided or made final decisions around whether or not classes will be remote both this summer for students who may have registered for summer classes, but then also for fall semester?
Yeah, it's a great question and definitely on a lot of people's minds right now in this situation. So yes and no. So for summer, our classes, vast majority are online, and we suspect that will be the same for fall as well. So it'll be remote delivery, flexible delivery. Many classes will be fully online. We know that we have a lot of hands-on coursework at Madison College. You think of things like welding, like nursing, that have in-person components. The college is a leader in online education. We've been doing this long before COVID-19 hit. So the good news is we have outstanding and very flexible faculty that have come up with creative ways to make this work. So for example, we have students that are coming to campus in small numbers to close out their spring classes right now. So the college's approach is we are taking methods and approaches to maintain a very safe campus. And so you will not see classes in the fall of 50. We don't have many class sizes that large anyway to begin with. So the vast majority of classes we do anticipate will be online or in some sort of flexible learning component. We will meet accreditation standards, and any hands-on components that need to be completed in person, we will do so in a very safe fashion. So what you can do now actually is go to the Madison College homepage, and it's madisoncollege.edu. There's a button you can click that says Take Summer Classes, and you can see all the listing of summer classes and the delivery mode that will be offered.
Well, that's good to know, because I think that allows for students to just better prepare, know how to prepare and sort of what to expect. And so this next question directly sort of related to that, knowing that classes are remote, our incoming freshmen, now graduating seniors, are wondering, does that mean I still have to purchase books?
That's a great question. Only because, when I think back to undergrad and buying books, and looking at it in today's lens, I had to buy some of my books. In graduate school, I had to buy books. And one of the things that I'm really proud to say that we have at Madison College through the Student Senate is that the college last summer, they adopted a textbook rental program. So students are able, instead of having to go pay $200, or more for textbooks, most textbooks, they're charged an additional fee per credit. It's $7 per credit. And with that specific fee, they're able to rent most of their textbooks. And I say that because there's still some workbooks and there's still some lab manuals that do need to be purchased additionally for some courses, but for the most part, most books you're able to rent them. Once you do that all online, you can order them, pick out all the ones that you need. It will actually be mailed directly to you. So whatever residence you have on your My Madison College, it'll just be mailed to you. So I think that that's awesome. It's a great cost saving. Not all schools have that. And I can tell you, when I first started here and we didn't have that at Madison College, I saw students anywhere from $500 to $700 a semester they were spending on textbooks. So even though $7 a credit seems like it could be a lot, in the grand scheme of things, it's a big cost saver to our students.
Thank you for that. No, that's it. Some books can be up to $200 alone. So $7 definitely is a huge benefit. And so students, if you're viewing, that is a huge relief for students who have gone through purchasing very expensive books. So I'm glad to hear that. So if you are planning to attend and you're registering for your classes, make sure that you reach out to look more into that option and that opportunity to save on some of those financials and costs. Speaking of classes, students want to know, when can they register for their classes if they've already been accepted to Madison College?
Mm-hmm. So summer registration is open now. Again, you could pop onto the website today and walk through that process. If you've already been admitted to the college, you're going to receive an invitation to attend a virtual advising and registration session. It's a video with a welcome overview, great information about how to register for courses. And following that, we'll invite you to create a one-on-one appointment with an academic advisor. And during that 1 hour appointment is where you'll talk more about your goals, what classes you want to register for, and get guidance from your advisor. Fall classes open broadly to the public on June 3rd.
And I'm going to move a question up that's also on here just because it's directly related to that, Gretchen. So hopefully you can help us with this. Let's say I'm a student who has applied to Madison College. I've been accepted. My award letter's looking good. It's affordable. This is my choice, right, for next fall. The only thing is I have no idea what I want to do, what I want to be, what I want to major in. Can I still register for classes is the first question. And in addition to that, are there support services to help students who might be undeclared in terms of their major to help figure out what they may be interested in pursuing?
Yeah, great question. Well, the good news is, pretend Glenna student, you're totally normal. Many college students start without knowing specifically what they want to do when they enter college. Actually, the average is students change their major or program about 3 times. So that's totally normal to not have it all mapped out yet. So the college has a number of really great services and options for a student that's still exploring. The first is we have a new areas of study exploratory path. So students could enter a path in an area of interest for them, say health or architecture, engineering, and design. I know I'm interested in this broad career field, but I don't know the specific program that I might want to go into. By entering one of those paths, you'll be paired with an advisor who's going to do some proactive career advising with you to help you keep exploring and help you make a decision that's going to be a better fit for you. Through that, we'll also get you connected to faculty, informational interviews, whatever we need to do to help you really make a good and informed choice for yourself. The college has a free online career planning workshop anyone in our community can access and go through Through that, you can take some career assessments, interest inventories, and do research about labor market information and what do I do in these careers. The really important thing is to ask questions, to research, and to use the resources available to you, of which we have so many at Madison College. So if you're exploring, please, again, go to our website, madisoncollege.edu, and search career exploration, and we'll get you hooked up.
Good to know. I think so many students just worry about that because they've heard these notions around like you want to get in, pick your classes to save money. You want to know what your classes are so you can finish and be out and not kind of dilly-dally, but the less time, the more concrete you are with what you want to do, the less time, which equates to the less amount of money you have to then spend on that. But I think it's important for students to hear around just national numbers of the normalization of just really not knowing. And this will be the third day that I say this, so it's probably not even a joke for our viewers who have been tuning in all week, but I've always added as this question has surfaced. Fret not, students, you know, I too am still trying to figure out what I want to do with my life. So even after college, you might find yourself in that same position. And I think that's one of the beauties of just self-development. And I think what's unique or a good thing about Madison College is that you have so many ways in which students can explore those options and so many avenues for them to learn more about sort of right at their fingertips. So students, if you are undecided or unsure of what you want to major in, please reach out for support. Don't feel like you have to figure that out on your own. Madison College is definitely committed to supporting your journey and navigating that process. So I'm glad to hear that. In terms of, so kind of switching gears here, transitioning right into post-secondary institutions, there's typically some form of orientation. And so for some of our viewers, students and their families, parents or guardians, what will orientation look like this summer for incoming students, given the pandemic and some of the social distancing that we are required to follow currently?
So first and foremost, you know, I, as well as our college president, we're a big advocate for keeping our community, our staff, our students safe. And so for this summer, we will be doing various forms of orientation, but I'll say that they will be virtually. You know, we are working on an interactive website where students are able to watch videos. You can get connected directly with resources. You get to see some of our students actually describe specific things that they'll experience at the college and how to get better support for them. But we're also going to be using a small group session, not something like this, but a session that students will probably be invited, you know, keeping the number small, but they're still able to interact with us, ask us those questions in real time. So they will be online, but you know, we're still able to provide that information that we would at a Wolfpack welcome. And the purpose of a Wolfpack welcome or orientation is just to make sure that students really know what they need to know before school begins so that they are successful. You know, it is the official welcome to the college. Prior to that, they would, I think Gretchen was talking a little bit more about this earlier, and she can talk a little bit more about Wolfpack or ANRs or advising and registration. You'd attend an advising registration and then you get invited into a Wolfpack welcome. So if Gretchen wants to talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. Yeah, when we talk about orientation at Madison College anyway, we really think of two phases. So the first is what students often think of as like their immediate need and want, and that's registering for classes. So again, if you're admitted to the college, you're going to receive an invitation and you'll sign up with a link that we send you to attend a virtual advising and registration. Again, that's a virtual overview of how to register for classes, information about resources on campus, and that initial welcome. From there, you'll schedule a one-on-one advising appointment with an academic advisor, and that's where you're going to get into the gritty of your needs. So what are your career goals? What program are you in? What courses were you really interested in high school? And maybe we can find some similar courses at Madison College for you. Generally, for incoming students, if it's your first time in college, you're going to take a math, you're going to take an English, and then you get to fill in the gaps if you're going to be a full-time student of 2 to 3 other courses. Those decisions aren't all on you to figure out and make on your own. That's why we have academic advisors. They're really your guide at your side to help you in your academic planning. We also have fantastic faculty advisors at Madison College that will help you along the way as well. So 2-part, again, you'll do the online experience, and then you'll have an individualized appointment with an academic advisor.
All right, so students, if you have applied and you've been accepted and you have not seen this email yet, maybe check your junk mail. It may have landed there. Otherwise, reach out if you have not yet received that email, and folks at Madison College will get you connected with your advisor. Okay, so we're back to money and finances, and our viewers want to know, how much does it cost to attend Madison College?
That's a loaded question. There's so much as far as when it comes into thinking about Madison College in comparison of our sister institutions that's even around us. We often say that a student, when they come to Madison College, saves on average about $13,000 a year in tuition and fees, compared to going to maybe a UW or going to Edgewood as far as our sister institutions. But also within the technical college sector, we have the lowest tuition technically within the state, because roughly on average, we have students usually paying about $187 per credit in order to attend Madison College. So you think about that in comparison to like $4,000 that you're paying in tuition, or $5,000 or $6,000, you're definitely saving money when you come to Madison College. The only thing is that we need to consider is when coming to Madison College, you have programs such as our liberal arts transfer program, where their intent is to transfer to a 4-year degree or 4-year institution and have all the equivalencies that's required in the sense to have that successful guaranteed transfer. Tuition for that is a little bit higher, where it's usually $187, technically 85 cents per credit for those students as a part of that program. However, it's definitely affordable. And I often say it's so affordable that approximately a little bit over 50% of our students, our degree-seeking students, don't even take financial aid, because it's so affordable that they technically pay for it out of their own means of their own resources. So that really paints the picture for you to let you know as far as how affordable Madison College is. But of course, we always have resources that's available for students, so you don't have to pay out of pocket. But in the event that a student says, you know what, I want to go to Madison College, can I afford it? Technically, you can, even if by paying it out of pocket. So it provides that flexibility, especially if you're a student that's looking to start off. We'll often have conversations with my godson, who is now at the age where he wants to go to college. And the conversations that we're having is, well, I don't want to go in debt. And I want to attend college and get those credits. Madison College is definitely the way to go in order to be able to save that money so you don't have to take out student loans. 55% of our students that complete a FAFSA application to receive aid are eligible for free money that you do not have to pay back. So Madison College definitely is a choice to attend if you want to go and actually have that affordability and not have to worry about the gray cloud of student loans hovering over you and you having to take them because of high astronomical costs.
Yeah, I won't even get into my student loans right now. But I do have one question for you, Kimani, because on our side with Boys and Girls Club, seniors are getting ready to transition, many of which who originally had plans to attend college out of state, as an example, right? And now, due to the pandemic and COVID-19 and many institutions across the world transitioning to remote without an timeline when that gets back to the in-person classes. A lot of our students we see have surfaced the question of, well, if my program or my experience out of state is going to be online, does it make sense for me to stay in Madison, attend Madison College for the first semester or maybe the first year, and then transfer? So some students who have already been accepted out of state are now in the space of kind of considering what really is the best option given where we are and just the state of the world. So for that particular student, would you recommend that they reach out to admissions to get more information around what that might look like should they want to rescind their commitment elsewhere and make that decision for fall to attend Madison College?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's been a conversation that we've been having sitting around the table, but I don't think it's anything new per se, as far as the whole culture of higher ed and thinking about the technical college, 2-year community college type of structure. A lot of students, in a sense, come to us, of course, to save money, but it's also an opportunity for them to, quote unquote, get their feet wet in the whole college experience. And Madison College, of course, is a premier institution that provides the student that groundwork and that education, and since to be successful and transfer to another institution. Now you have to think of, I guess, the larger aspect of it, where you have a 4-year institution and how you're classified when you come to this. Of course, Madison College, we have various articulation agreements with institutions across the state, across the country, that we basically position ourselves to be able to support those students if they're going to other institutions, and that's their plan. But you also have to think about when it comes in looking at a 4-year institution. I was one individual who worked at another 4-year institution, and how the student is basically categorized. So you have a student coming out of high school directly into a 4-year institution. They're coming in as an incoming freshman. Where on the other side of it, you have a student that's coming to Madison College getting college credit. And from my understanding, anytime that you gain college credit at that other institution, you're basically being categorized as a transfer student. So it will be basically having those conversations both with us as Madison College to say, what are the programs and the paths that you have designed? And since if I decide I want to transfer to an Edgewood or to a Whitewater or to UW-Madison, but then also have those conversations with the institution that you're planning to go to ensure that the qualifications or the eligibility requirements are being captured in those studies and in those conversations that you have with us here at Madison College as well. And I don't know, Gretchen, you probably will have some additional insight as far as on the transfer piece that you can also share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think you described it really well, Kimani. Madison College is a great place to start if your end goal is transfer. Or if you were planning to start at a university and now have maybe changed your mind, we're still a great place to start. So our largest program is the Liberal Arts Transfer Program, and it's designed for transfer. Many of our students in that program will complete an associate's degree, and through one of our articulation agreements, then move on to their 4-year institution. Madison College is the largest single feeder of transfer students into UW-Madison. We have a guaranteed transfer contract. So if students meet certain parameters, they are guaranteed admission into the university. So transfer is one of our big things that we do. And it's not only for liberal arts students. So a lot of our technical program students will get that 2-year applied associate degree and still go on to get a bachelor's degree. So it's a great choice if you're looking to transfer or complete a 4-year degree down the road. As far as resources go, if you go to madisoncollege.edu/transfer, you'll find our transfer services website. And there's a plethora of online resources you can explore. One I really like to expose students to early is the Wisconsin Transfer Wizards. The transfer information system is what we call it in the biz. So that's a really cool tool that can show you, okay, this Madison College course will transfer to UW Whitewater as this course. coming this summer in, I think, June, we will have a new tool called Transferology. And that will be like the Transfer Wizards, a little bit more robust. And we're excited to launch that this summer for students to use. Of course, we love the online resources, but there's also people here to support you. So if you want to discuss transfer planning, again, visit that transfer services site, and we have a variety of resources listed for you, and you can meet with a human if you'd like, virtually, of course.
Perfect. Thank you both for all that information. I just wanted to highlight something you said, Kimani, that I think is super important for some of those students who might be in that limbo state, for lack of better terms, right? Like, yes, connect with Madison College, but also connect with your current institution because, well, you know, as an example, your out-of-state institution, because though in the short term, it might sound and look like it makes more sense for many different reasons. We'll use financial as an example to start to rescind that confirmation, start at Madison College and then transfer, but especially for out-of-state institutions, for our students who are viewing and families, you are coming in right now as an incoming freshman, which we know is a whole separate bucket of financial aid that institutions provide that you may lose if you then start and then transfer as a transfer student. So I appreciate you surfacing that, because I think that's important for our viewers just to be reminded of, and some just aware of to begin with. So I just wanted to highlight that point that you made. Still on money. So we've seen recently in the news, many institutions have received whether local funding, federal funding for emergency funds that are available to students enrolled in college. Does Madison College have some form of an emergency fund for students? And if so, can you just briefly describe what that is and how students can access that support?
Sure. So right now, Madison College has had emergency funding or emergency assistance program since actually 2010. Recently, probably within the past 3 years, we studied as far as food insecurity on our campus to try to find out ways and since that we can continue to support students and identify opportunities in a sense that will provide access to students for resources in relation to food insecurity in other areas. So each year we actually receive funding from the Wisconsin College Technical System through emergency funding. We also have various partnerships through private dollars that we receive. Our Madison College Foundation is a huge advocate for us in fundraising and soliciting donors to be able to contribute to our emergency assistance funding program, which is technically designed right now to assist any student that's experiencing a financial hardship while they're attending college. So it can cover, say, I am attending Madison College and I have this astronomical utility bill and I have to make the decision, do I pay my utility bill or do I basically come to college and be able to do what's necessary to pay my tuition? So we're providing assistance to those students that have those type of things. If they have a car repair, my car broke down, I'm a commuter, how do I get to campus and go to my classes since my car broke down? What is that hardship? So we provide assistance for those students as well. Just being able to cover things like medical expenses that might arise. Of course, the whole utility bills aspect of it, food. We know that in a sense, a large population of our students in a sense face food insecurity. So what are ways in the sense that we're able to support those students? So in the past, we basically bought thousands upon thousands of dollars of food cards from local grocery stores around the city in order to help support our students. So it goes beyond as far as being able just to provide assistance, but it's really to help meet the needs of the students that's attended Madison College to say, hey, we're here, we got your back, and we want to make sure that you're successful. Now, of course, every institution around the country right now is tapped into CARES dollars through the CARES Act, which Madison College currently has or had $2.75 million in order to support students that were disrupted by the campus operation. So with Madison College going online or basically closing down for an extended spring break, what are those emergency dire needs in the sense that the student now has a gap in? So we're basically awarding students funding to basically assist them who've been impacted by COVID-19 and as far as the campus operations aspect of it. So that basically goes towards food, that's housing, those are medical expenses, childcare, because we know when things close, of course, the children are basically at home. How do you cover some of that, those type of expenses? Course materials are also covered in order to help support those students. So there's a myriad of different categories that we're providing emergency assistance to students. And even after CARES goes away and we spend those dollars, Madison College is still committed to be able to provide emergency assistance to students as they attend, who basically have those short-term emergencies in the sense that would, in a sense, prevent them from coming. It's not a loan. It's basically a grant that's basically awarded to that student that they do not have to pay back because we are supporting our students and we really want our students to be successful.
Perfect, thank you. And I'm glad you you hit that around it. It's not a loan, so students do not have to pay that back. Really quickly, just as a follow-up, you mentioned course materials, something that came up in the last two sessions, especially given the transition to remote learning. Do laptops fall into that category? We've seen a huge increase in students needing access to laptops to actually, to your point, be successful in the classroom. Is that something students can access through that? Or are there other ways, laptop rentals or anything like that, that Madison College offers?
Yeah, so that's interesting that you bring that. Of course, the CARES funding does support technology for those students that might not have had a laptop or might not have had a printer at home. They need to print things out or needed some type of software. And since we do support that, is to provide that information. But even when COVID hit us, COVID-19 hit Madison College, I would say out of the gate, we basically started strategizing to see what could we do to support our students who might not have had access. So we adopted a digital equity program at the college and literally dispatched several people around the college in a sense to be stationed at various locations within our district to distribute laptops. We distributed, I believe, over 700 laptops to students to be able to support them who did not have access. And it even didn't stop at laptops. It went to hotspots through phone places such as like Verizon and Sprint, because we know based off of our district, some students just do not have access to the internet. So we want to make sure that students had that ability to be successful and have, in sense, those materials that's needed in this online environment in order to be successful and move forward what basically we're faced and being presented. So yes, we're about 100%.
That's huge. And it's really aligned even with, you know, the Madison School District, right? And how they, you know, made sure students had their Chromebooks and did the hotspot. I'm one for equity, so I'm so glad that you surfaced that. I think that says a lot about your institution and just what you all stand for in terms of meeting students' needs to support their success, not just academic, right? So thank you. I'm glad we surfaced that so you guys could share that. Also related, right, to being successful outside of the classroom. Many students this spring semester lost campus jobs, work study opportunities. Is there still opportunities for students to work campus jobs and or have work study? And how might they go about, if they're an incoming freshman, accessing those opportunities?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we do anticipate we will still have student employees and work study student employees employed this summer and fall. It's hard to say at this point. I do suspect we'll have slightly lower numbers than we've historically seen. And students work all across the campus. Every year we have over 600 student employees, either funded through work study or paid out of departmental budget. So it's a really important function operationally for the college. So while there might be slightly fewer, we will still have student employees to look for those opportunities. And I would encourage students to start looking closer to the end of summer is when we see more posts online. Our online job platform is called Wisconsin Tech Connect. So that's where both work study and departmental paid student employee, student help, we call them jobs, are posted. So check that out. And good news, the hourly rate for students is going up starting July 1. So our new student employee hourly rate is $11.50 an hour. Kimani, is there anything that you want to add related to work study?
Yeah, every year I have to submit a report that goes to the Department of Education to request additional dollars. And we're always an advocate to solicit additional dollars for the Federal Work Study program, because this program is designed based off of allocated dollars, in the sense that the institution also provides a matching component for it. So in order for students to be eligible for Federal Work Study, you have to complete a FAFSA application and demonstrate need. But we know that, and since students that participate in the program specifically, and I used to be a Federal Work Study student myself, so I'm a huge advocate for it. But Federal Work Study provides a really good benefit to students. One is the money that's earned from the Federal Work Study dollars is actually excluded for the income when they provide that information or when they complete the FAFSA application. So if I'm a student and I made $9,000 in wages for that year, and I complete my FAFSA application and I received the $3,000 Federal Work Study allocation, technically $6,000 is only represented on that FAFSA application. So it's a benefit on the student because it reduces the amount of income that's basically being looked at for that student when it comes into access even to additional grant funding or dollars, as far as like the Pell Grant or even Wisconsin Higher Education Grant or the Wisconsin Grant. So I would basically add that. Of course, to do that, the student needs to complete that FAFSA application. So we always encourage students to complete the FAFSA application because there's so many opportunities that's there for students, from work study to grants, and then of course to opportunities for loans if it's needed.
Perfect. Thank you both. And I'll just say, from my experience working in higher ed, $11.50 an hour, you can't beat that. So students, if you're looking to be employed, start on campus. Your job will be right there when you get out of your classes. You can study in between without having to travel outside for work. And again, $11.50. So I just want to highlight that for you all because I respect that. I really do. We've got about two more questions here. I know we're running a little over and I want to be mindful of everyone's time. But this one is a really important one. I'll say that we've seen on our end at the Boys and Girls Club with our students, questions that have surfaced around, if I have not yet received my award letter, but I know I've applied, I know I've submitted my FAFSA, what should I do?
I think the number one thing is to there's two options. Of course, if a student has not received their award letter, we always encourage students to communicate with us or see if there's information or documentation that needs to be submitted by checking their My Madison College account and check for the to-do list, which often displays as far as the information that is needed by the financial aid office or other areas in some cases, because technically 1 in 3 students that complete a FAFSA application, roughly about 30%, are selected for a process called verification. The verification process is something that we don't necessarily control. The Department of Ed selects students to go through this process to basically make the financial aid office to certify that the information that was submitted on the FAFSA application is actually accurate. So that involves us collecting documentation from the student. And it also prohibits us from being able to make an award to a student as well. So often if a student is saying, I submitted my information months ago to financial aid and I haven't received an award, typically it's probably something that we need. Although we do communicate with our students, to say, hey, you have outstanding checklists or outstanding documents in the sense that we have not received, being able to go to that one area in the sense in the My Madison College account or the student portal is very, very important to pay attention to that aspect of it. If a student has done that and there still is no award, I would immediately reach out to the financial aid office. Allow us to dig into the situation to find out what's really going on. It could be a situation where the student submitted a FAFSA and there was information that was missing on that application and it wasn't fully submitted. We have the flexibility and the access in the sense to go directly into the FAFSA database in order to see what's truly going on with the student's application and then provide that additional information to the student to complete that, to move forward. So I would say never sit there and just wait for information to come. If you're expecting something, I always say if I'm looking for someone to come pick me up, I'm going to be sitting by the window. So as I'm looking outside the window, as it comes to students, do also the partnership and the due diligence on the student side as well to reach out to us. We're here to help. We want to make sure that you have the resources and the necessary tools in the sense to be successful. So it's never a bother. There's so many ways to reach out to us. We have, of course, email, financialaid@madisoncollege.edu. You can always call us 608-246-6170. And then we also have opportunities for virtual face-to-face financial aid advising appointments that can actually, like, means of Skyping us face-to-face and have that conversation where we can share screens and find out what's really going on in order to support you. So I would say always reach out to us so we can find out or dig a little bit deeper to see what's going on.
Perfect, thank you. So two follow-up questions. The first one, if a student has applied for Scholars of Promise as an example, should they also have received an award letter, or is that process different for that cohort or group of students? Just
not necessarily. Yeah, so Scholars of Promise is a little different. Of course, as we get closer to the term, having an award is important for us to determine what's needed for coverage of tuition and fees. But for the initial acceptance, we're looking at that a student actually completed the FAFSA application or the alternative FAFSA application in our cases. As long as we have that information, we're able to make the determination if the student will fall into the category of being Pell eligible in order to be accepted into the program. So that part, you don't necessarily have to have an award. Of course, it's a benefit, but you don't necessarily have to have an award at that point. So a student technically, because we know the deadline is June 6th to submit that application, a student technically could apply June 5th for FAFSA, not have the award, and then we can basically retrieve that information to determine if they fall into the Pell eligible criteria.
And if they have applied for Scholars of Promise and they have received the award letter, will they receive, if they're accepted at this later point, would they then receive an updated award letter?
Well, so the process as far as Scholars of Promise, it is to support a student for their tuition and fees after scholarships and grants are applied. So often the beginning of the term, we'll go through a process which we call the Pell recalculation date, which we look at the enrollment in order to determine based off of the enrollment and the award of that Pell grant to make sure that it matches, because Pell is based off of a tiered system based off of the number that the students enroll. So once we do that and run that process, then there'll be a revised award where we'll actually offer the student the actual Scholars of Promise award for that particular term. So students won't necessarily see it up front because we have to do calculations on the back end once school starts.
Got it. Perfect. Thank you. I think, to your point, so students, if you haven't received your award letter, you heard it here first, definitely take that initiative to reach out. Don't just sit here twiddling your thumbs waiting. Always be proactive. And even if you need a trusted adult to just sit next to you as you call, whatever's most comfortable for you. But I think this if you're in this situation, this is a great first of many opportunities for you to learn how to advocate for yourself, which you will find you will have many of those experiences as you transition into college. So no better way to start than to hit the ground running and taking advantage of those opportunities. All right, so our last question for today. Knowing that you all will be shifting academics to remote and online and virtual, students are really concerned, right? And we know, data sometimes will say, 80% of the college experience for students happens outside of the classroom. So students are really wanting to know, how can they be involved on campus? What ways can they be engaged with different departments, opportunities, but also students? So what, if in any ways you all have developed currently, what does or do you plan and anticipate that looking like for students sort of with the pandemic?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the biggest things that, kind of like you're saying, that shaped my college experience was being connected on campus. From clubs and organizations, taking leadership roles. I mean, that's how I always tell students, that's how I got some of the jobs that I did in college. That's how I landed some of the internships that I did. That's how ultimately I ended up going to where I ended up, which is working in a college setting, And as soon as the pandemic hit, I mean, we started in student life to, turn our wheels, but also think broadly and look at what other institutions were doing. We've done this semester alone, since COVID, I mean, we've done things like virtual bingo. We've had where we were able to send supplies to students directly, and they're able to volunteer in their own homes for Project Linus. So they got to build blankets at home. We've partnered with Eat Street, a Madison local company, to give out gift cards to students. To give out, food vouchers, but they also get to do it by posting things on social media or joining us for different games and activities that we've had. I don't know how familiar you are with Jackbox, but we played Jackbox with students online. So the approach that we're going for kind of forward, at least for right now, is that, we're going to plan for both. We're going to plan for events and activities like we would normally on campus, from our traditional events, from anything like Hispanic Heritage to Back to School Bash, but we're also going to plan things virtually. So in the event that, we are still online or kind of a hybrid of the two, we want to make sure that we have those opportunities for students. We've had meetings with clubs and organizations all virtually. So we use Microsoft Teams or we use WebEx, and that way we've had are able to connect with students to interact with our students. I get to manage this awesome space on campus where I can tell you, if it was an average day, I could look outside and there's 35, 40 students at any given point, and identity-based clubs meet there. And now we've kind of have shifted all of that to online for right now, but I know it's something that students are asking for and students need. We're still able to provide those opportunities. I think we just have to be a little bit more creative. And sometimes they're like fun and just a big catch up to see how we're doing, but they're also a good place to interact and connect with others. Because I know that for some students, they might be the only ones in their home, or they might be also sharing a space with family members that they also need that interaction and connection. I think last time I checked, we're close to 65 clubs on campus. We have anything from our social fun club, like Super Smash Brothers. There's a nap club now. I don't know how they're doing right now in COVID. Hopefully they're not napping too much. But we also have program-based clubs on campus. So the Nursing Association, there's Respiratory Therapy Association, the Civil Engineering Club, the STEM Club. So students are able to connect that way. So not just from a social standpoint, but also from clubs that might help and support them in their program of study or interest. So one of the last things I'll plug is that we have an app that we have students download when they come to Wolfpack Welcome, or they come to our office, called Wolfpack Connect. It's kind of like, I don't know, the best description of it is kind of the platform we're using right now, Facebook, where students can look at different clubs, organizations, but they also get connected to campus resources. They can check their email from it. They can look at and get connected right with the academic advising website. They can look at their Blackboard all within this app. It links them out to those kind of things. So it's just another way that we have and are able to connect with students, and that's both on iOS and on the Play Store. So, you know, just because I think right now, given the situation, I think more than ever we need to connect with each other. So we're just kind of planning virtually as well as hopefully in person.
Perfect. So students, when you get to campus, make sure you download the app. And definitely, I think, you know, getting familiarized with the different clubs is a great way to start, because that's a great way just to meet other people who have similar interests and passions as you. I know that definitely was helpful for myself. So definitely start there if you're lost as to where to start. And plus, just being engaged in some form on campus just helps to allow you to have a better experience that really meets what you're passionate about and what you're looking for. So thank you for that information, Ro. So I don't think we got any questions from the public, and I know we're about 15 minutes over, but I do want to be sort of with my equity lens. I allowed both Edgewood and UW-Madison to answer sort of this last question. So after I pose the question, I'm going to bring Kate back in so that she can respond. But for students and families who might be viewing who are, again, I keep referring to this sort of limbo state, what last comments would you say from your lens and your experience working at Madison College as to why they should really consider Madison College as a choice? Or what do you love best about Madison College that you feel makes it really unique as an institution here in Madison?
Hi, everybody.
So I'll go first, I guess.
Yep.
I'll let you go first. Go ahead, Kate.
Okay. So I started at Madison College in 2002 as a work study as well, and have spent my entire career at Madison College. So I'm an alumni of the school. And I think the connections, whether we're remote or whether we're in person, are real and genuine. And I do think that everyone is doing the best to work with the students given the situation. And I do think that Madison College is a community that I am very thankful to have been a part of from both the student and the staff perspective. So I do think that between cost, between flexibility of offerings that we offer, that it's a good opportunity for everyone who is part of the Madison College community to at some point take a class, whether it's degree, non-degree, program student, or just looking to transfer or take some enrichment courses.
You're cracking me up. I'll go next. How about that?
All right.
Thank you.
So for me, from my experience, I've been at Madison College about 3.5 years now. And I think I've never experienced a college that truly is ingrained in supporting students. I think every conversation always ends with, well, how does this impact students? What's the outcome? What makes it better for students? And to come to an institution that has that mindset from the top down, from our president all the way down to those that, in a sense, are on the front line, to have that mindset to really support students and have the students' best interests at heart, I think really says something about the type of institution Madison College is. And I've been at a couple of institutions, and I have many colleagues from across the country, and I can't say that's always the case. So to attend Madison College truly would come to an institution that, in a sense, you're not lost, quote unquote, in the crowd. You matter. And then you also have a team of people that's basically even colleagues that's with me right now that think that matters, and it's very, very important to know that when you're thinking about education and you think about a means as far as what my next step is, that Madison College provides that opportunity for you as a student. And I'll pass it off to you, Gretchen.
Thank you. So I've worked at Madison College for almost 10 years, and it's a place I'm very proud to work. And some of the things I like best about the college is we are the college in the community, but we're also the community's college. So the folks that cut your hair, the folks that prepare your food, the nurses that are helping in this pandemic, many of those folks have their training completed through Madison College. Our students stay in the community, so it's a community type feel. We have a very strong and diverse community at Madison College. We have, the traditional aged 18 to 22-year-olds. We also have folks in their 60s coming back and returning to finish up some credits or get their HSED or take a continuing education class. So the diversity of offerings, the diversity of our community. And the last thing I just want to say is our faculty are so committed to teaching. They work at Madison College because they want to be teaching students. So I think there's real value in that, and I think it's felt on campus.
I'll echo what a lot of these folks have said, especially what Gretchen was saying regarding the community. I've worked at the college now for going about 5 years now, and I can say truly that our students value that they're able to, at any point, not only ask a question, but if they see someone, they'll actually stop and help them through. I know that everyone on this call is actually extremely busy on any given day, but if a student asks us a question, we'll walk through them and help them figure out or, make sure that they get their answer that they need. And, students really, truly value that. I work in a department that I'm able to really see student leaders and see student voices heard on campus, and you don't always see that everywhere. What Kimani was saying is that our students truly have a voice. I mentioned this earlier, but the textbook rental program was directly from students. We have a food pantry on campus that was directly from students asking and needing that. This summer, normally we have a transportation fee. We're waiving that. Students are waiving that. So students have a true voice at Madison College, and they really make an impact. I would say that my students would describe it as a family a lot of the times when we're together or we're working through or they're talking with their advisors or faculty members. I don't know if there's another place like that in our community, and I think our students truly value that. So it's a great place.
Well, thank you guys for all of that information. And I just want to just thank you all again for making the time to participate in this panel. I can't stress enough how important and how passionate we were and I was to really provide this platform for our students and families in our community, but also for our local institutions. I think it was a win-win for everyone. And I just want to highlight specifically for Madison College, for our viewers and families that are still listening, a few kind of key takeaways. You can still apply. Applications are still open. If you need support with that, please contact Madison College admissions. There's also an extension to the Scholars of Promise deadline for that application. So the end of the first week of June, so June 6th. If you applied before the May 1st primary deadline, you will be receiving notification. Can you remind me, Kimani, again on that?
By the 22nd of May.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. By the 22nd of May. So definitely be looking out for that information. But again, for any of you who are viewing, students and your families, if you are considering, again, Edgewood, UW-Madison, or Madison College, the really key takeaway from all of these sessions that I'm hoping you all heard is that each of these institutions are ready to meet you where you are and provide any support. You just got to seek them out. So I hope that all of these have served to be informative, to help increase your awareness. And for those of you students who are, again, just in that limbo state and really feeling anxious around making that decision, please access these institutions, use them as resources to help you make those final decisions if you haven't already done so. And for those who have already made your decisions to any one of these 3 schools, I hope you all have a great next semester, and we'll be here rooting you on. So again, thank you all to our panelists. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you, VGC, and have a great weekend, everybody. See ya.